This is my review of the Dell G5-5590 15-inch gaming laptop. This particular configuration comes with a 9th generation i7-9750H processor, which is 6 cores, which runs at 2.6 GHz with turbo boost up to 4.5 GHz. It comes with an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660Ti graphics card with 6 GB of GDDR memory. It comes with 8 GB of DDR4 memory, which runs at 2666 MHz, and it comes with 2 drives. One is a 256 solid state drive, and the other one is a 1 TB standard hard drive for all your data and so on. So the solid state drive contains the Windows 10 operating system and is designed for all your programs for fast access and so on. So that's the basic specifications of this machine. Obviously it will vary on what location you are in the world. It may have a completely different configuration if you live in another part of the world. So this is the UK configuration and so on. So let's have a look at the actual laptop itself. So we'll start on the outside. So we'll start with the top. Just adjust my camera a minute. So we can see it comes in an all black color, which unfortunately kind of shows up all your mucky fingerprints, as you can probably see from the camera. So it comes with a Dell logo in the center, which kind of looks green depending on which angle. It kind of turns blue as you tilt the laptop certain ways. So it's kind of a nice kind of build quality, kind of a roughish kind of texture on the actual plastic. On the underside we have 2 vents here, left and right, plus a G5 logo, and we have 2 rubber strips here for when you put it onto your table to grip the laptop down. Connectivity wise, we should have a look here. So we'll start with the right hand side. So on the right hand side, I hope we can see that on the camera. Hope it's not too dark. So we have a SD card slot for standard SD cards plus micro SD cards with an adapter. We have a USB 3.1 port here, which is SuperSpeed. So just 2 ports on the right hand side. On the back we have, again I hope you can see this, we have the power supply port here. We have the HDMI if you want to connect it to your HDTV or your monitor. We have another USB SuperSpeed port here, 3.1. We have a mini DisplayPort here. We have an Ethernet here for connecting to your router and so on, and we have a little lock key here if you want to attach a lock to your laptop. On the left hand side we have the Thunderbolt port here for super fast transfer of data if you have a Thunderbolt compatible device and so on. We have another SuperSpeed USB 3.1 port here, and we have a 3.5 microphone jack and a little LED light here to indicate that the battery is charging. So we have 3 USBs, all a 3.1 SuperSpeed to transfer data and so on. So that's the general design. So the design has this rigid kind of groove look all the way around. So we have the speaker on the left and the speaker on the right here, just a bit you can see them. Again, it's all this rigid design around here. So we have a little vent on the right hand side here, we have the same on the left. We also have vents on the back, which mostly the hot air comes out to the back here on both the left and right hand side. Obviously air gets sucked in from the bottom as well, and again on the left hand side again we have another vent here which draws air in. So that's pretty much how the laptop looks. I just showed you the power brick. So the power brick itself is quite large in size. It's probably at least double the size of an average kind of £500 laptop power brick you get. So to show you the end of the cable, you can probably see the cable itself is quite thick. So again, it's probably twice the kind of size of what you get from a normal laptop. Obviously, because this is a gaming laptop with a high-end processor and a good graphics card, it does demand a lot of power. So let's have a look at what we get on the inside. So we we have a standard UK keyboard. It's a backlit keyboard which lights up in the dark, obviously, or even in the daytime. So we can adjust it here by pressing the F10 key. I don't know if you can see that on the actual camera, but it does light up when the conditions are low. So in low light, it really helps if you want to type in darkness or in low light. You can see all the keys perfectly well, so that works really well. We get a power button which is located here in the middle. I don't know if you can see that because it's reflecting on the sunlight. So the power button also acts as a fingerprint reader, so you can set up the fingerprint reader within Windows 10, and instead of typing the password, just put your finger over the little power button and it opens up Windows 10 and so on. So we have the palm rest here, which is actually metal, though it kind of feels like plastic because once the laptop heats up, it kind of turns from cold to quite lukewarm kind of temperature, so it kind of feels like plastic, but it is actually metal. We get a GeForce GTX sticker plus an Intel 9th generation i7 sticker. We also get some stickers here from Dell, just saying it's for gaming, 15.6 full HD display, thermal settings, NVIDIA graphics card. We have the weight and we have a little audio icon here. In terms of the weight, this machine weighs 5.9 pounds. I will put all the full specifications in the description. So first thing you'll probably notice as soon as you take this thing out of the box, it weighs a lot. And I mean, it's probably double the weight of an average kind of 400 or 500 pound laptop. So bear in mind, it is heavy. So if you want to carry this thing around with you, it does weigh a lot. And just be careful how you handle it as well, because I think if you drop this thing once, it might smash into 20 pieces and so on. It is very, very, very heavy. So the touchpad, which personally I actually like this touchpad. I mean, I know touchpads are probably not a main talking point on a laptop, but this touchpad is very responsive. It's got quite a nice kind of smooth yet rough texture, so your finger glides around really nicely. There's no left or right key, so if you don't like a touchpad, this is one of these oversized touchpads with no left or right key, but it works well. You can generally rest one finger on the touchpad and still use your other index finger to move around without it affecting the performance, but generally you can rest two and do the same. Sometimes you can, but it kind of doesn't work quite as well, but it works really well. You can also adjust some settings within Windows to do certain gestures. I can, for example, put 4 fingers and swipe up and down to adjust the volume, which is handy. You can also bring up menus by tapping 3 times to bring up menus and so on. So it's a really, really nice touchpad. It's probably my favorite kind of feature of this laptop is that the touchpad is really responsive. It's got a nice kind of feel and texture, and it just works really well, especially with the gestures and so on. So the screen, just adjust the camera. So the screen is full HD 1080p. It has a refresh rate of 144 megahertz, I think. I'll just check that in the description. But the screen itself is it's not amazing quality by any means. I'll just show you here. This is full brightness. I'll just go down to the lowest setting. So it works pretty well in bright conditions, but it's not super bright by any means. I do think, like with most laptops, it works best in the room which is pretty low light and so on, to get the full kind of quality out of the screen itself. So it's a decent screen, but it's not amazing by any means. So obviously it runs Windows 10. That is installed on the SSD, as I said earlier, and you can just save all your non-essential files to the 1 terabyte hard drive. It's 256 gigabytes in size, which kind of sounds a lot, but I think 60 gigabytes of that is taken up by Windows. Plus, if you want to restore your PC, it's also got all the factory restore information. So you're not actually left with a huge amount of space. I could not get Grand Theft Auto 5, which is 85 gigabytes, and Fortnite, which is something like 50 something gigabytes on the same drive, plus a few other programs. So if you want to store all your games on the SSD, you're probably going to struggle to get more than 2 on there. In some cases, you might not even get 1 on there, because some games that are well over 100 gigabytes in size. And of course, this does not come with a optical drive, so you cannot insert discs. So you have to download all your games, all your software from the internet and so on to install it on this thing. So you cannot buy physical copies of games or software, which isn't unusual these days, but you know, it's a little annoying sometimes that there's no optical drive on these modern laptops. So in terms of performance, naturally it's a high-end i7 laptop with 6 cores. It's going to be fast, and it is fast, but I would say you only get the maximum performance when it's plugged into the mains. On battery, you probably won't notice a huge amount of difference, say from a £500 laptop, because it's not maximizing the full performance of the processor. It needs to be plugged into the mains to get the very best out of it. So especially with games, you cannot play games on battery. Certainly you cannot play Fortnite or Grand Theft Auto 5 on battery because it just requires too much power. So if you're thinking, oh, this is going to be a portable gaming machine, forget about it, because high-end games just do not work on battery power. So in terms of speed and shut up and start down, so I'll just shut this thing down a minute. Just wait for it to shut down for a few seconds. Okay, it's now shut down. So a complete shutdown and a complete startup, I would say, takes around 25 seconds, maybe 30 seconds, depending on what kind of mood your PC's in, especially if it's had any updates and so on. But I know kind of 30 seconds doesn't sound that fast, but compared to my other laptop, I would say my other laptop it took about 2 minutes, especially when it loaded all the background applications. This one, as soon as it loads, it's good to go. So if I press the power button, we can now see the Dell logo starts up. And once the Windows screen loads up, all you have to do then, if you set up the Fingerprint Reader, is press the little power button, just gently press it, or put your finger over it, and then that will activate the Fingerprint Reader, and then Windows will load. So as soon as it loads up, it's generally good to go. I've got a few applications running in the background, and they just load up within seconds. So as soon as the thing loads, it really is good to go. So I could click on Firefox or Google Chrome, and these applications load up near enough straight away. So in terms of startup, I would say it's really fast. I know 30 seconds doesn't sound that fast, but compared to other laptops I've had, it's super fast compared to them. That's a complete shutdown, remember. That's not hibernation or sleep mode. That's a complete shutdown and complete startup again. So let's close that. So yeah, in terms of performance, like I said before, to get the best out of it, it does need to be plugged into the mains, especially for gaming. Applications such as Cyberlink PowerDirect or video editing software, it works a lot better than what I've experienced in the past, but I wouldn't say it's lightning fast by any means. I mean, you know, my old laptop was a low-end i5, and the speed difference isn't massive in terms of processing videos and editing them. It works better, a lot better, but not, I wouldn't say it's, you know, 5 or 10 times faster by any means. In terms of gaming, obviously it comes with the GeForce GTX 1660Ti, which has 6 gigabytes of RAM on board. So it's a decent graphics card. I wouldn't say it's an amazing graphics card by any means. I mean, the graphics compared to, say, PS4 or Xbox One, I would say they are slightly better. But what I've noticed is that the graphics look a lot better when you plug the laptop into your television via the HDMI port. I would say the graphics on a big, you know, 50-inch screen television look a lot better than what they do on this little small 15-inch screen. So just bear in mind, to get the best graphics performance, plug it into your TV. It looks a lot better, in my opinion, anyway. So yeah, I mean, I've only played 2 games, GTA 5 and Fortnite, on this at the present moment. I will obviously buy some more in the near future. I mean, Fortnite looks a lot better on this than what it does on PS4. GTA 5, it's a bit mixed. I mean, it looks good in certain parts, and other parts it kind of looks so-so. So, I mean, if you are buying this purely for a gaming laptop, it's good, but don't expect to be blown away by the graphics. It's certainly not 5 or 10 times better than what you get with PS4 and so on. It's probably 2, maybe 3 times better. I don't know, something around that kind of region. So yeah. So in terms of quality, the quality is quite good. This is actually the second laptop I've had. The first laptop had a faulty battery, which was only lasting around 2 to 2.5 hours. I contacted Dell via email, which eventually I got sent a brand new laptop, which I've only had this laptop now for 6 days. The previous one I had for, I think it was 5 weeks, something like that, until I contacted them and sent it back and so on. The process of getting a new one wasn't too difficult. It wasn't exactly straightforward. You kind of talked to a guy in, I think it was in India or somewhere, and his English wasn't amazing by any means, kind of pidgin English, so the process was a little tricky at times, but I did get a new laptop pretty speedily, didn't take too long to send a new one. And they kind of sent me a new one and then picked up the old one a couple of days later, so I wasn't left with a laptop, which is a good thing anyway. So just bear that in mind. If you buy one of these and the laptop isn't working correctly, contact Dell as soon as possible, tell them to fix it or send you a new one, and you should be good to go. So in terms of the battery performance, I'm now getting on this one around 5 to 6 hours of general web surfing. So 5 to 6 hours on a machine of this kind of power is pretty impressive. Of course, if you start using more demanding programs, then you're probably going to get around 2 to 2.5 hours of use out of it. But using Chrome or Firefox to browse the web and watch videos, you should get around 5, if not 6 hours on a good day out of it. In terms of the fan noise and the heat it produces, as it is now, just idle as it is now, if you just open up Firefox or Google Chrome, the laptop is pretty much silent. You can probably just hear the tiniest whisper of the fan, but generally it's as quiet as a mouse. If you start opening up a few more programs, just an extra couple of tabs of Firefox or Chrome, or another program in the background, then obviously the fan tends to kick in now and again. Now and again you might just get this kind of loud fan noise for say 15 seconds and then it turns itself off again. So generally it's quiet, and on battery it doesn't produce a lot of heat. Once you plug the power supply in, obviously it starts charging the battery. That in itself creates a lot of heat. Plus it also allows the processor to run at its maximum settings, so it can get quite hot once it's plugged in, especially if you're playing games. So once you're playing games, the fan noise does increase significantly. I wouldn't say it's loud, but it's certainly noticeable. So if you're playing this on a desk, if you're literally sat 2 feet away from this machine, you're definitely going to hear the fan noise. It's definitely there. You can, through the settings, change some settings. You can adjust whether you want the fans to be quiet or loud to keep the system as cool as possible. You can, which does help, but you will notice the fan noise when you're playing games, and you will also notice the heat as well, as it does produce a lot of heat, especially when it's plugged in. So that's just to bear in mind. So yeah, I've had this laptop, not this particular one, 6 weeks, but I've had 2 different ones for around 6 weeks now, and I am happy with this. I'm happy that the first one I bought was replaced in a timely manner. Like I said, it's a fast laptop, as you would expect. For playing games, I don't think you're going to be blown away by the graphics. I will stick some footage of GTA 5 at the very end of this video so you can just get a general idea. Those will be at the recommended settings rather than the highest. Like I said, you cannot play games on the battery. It does have to be plugged in to play games. It just isn't enough power. It has a 60-watt battery and it cannot just power the games at the normal kind of high rate settings and so on, so bear that in mind. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this laptop. Just bear in mind, prices do kind of vary on Dell.com website. I would not pay £1,300 plus for this. I think 1,100 is pretty much on the money. It's the kind of specifications you would expect for this kind of price. So, you know, just be careful when you do buy it. Make sure there's a discount code and you pay no more than 1,100. And for that kind of price, I would definitely recommend this laptop. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.